drain.
Welcome back, everybody, to Aces 53 with Ed Parcaut and myself, Brian Galke. As you know, today is a Thursday. So on Thursdays, what do we have? We have jokers. And what is a joker? A joker is a guest who's going to come on who has a special set of knowledge or skills. Sounds like the Liam Neeson part. That's going to be able to help you in your business in some form or fashion. And as you guys know, in 2024, what we've really changed to was, how do you stand out in a sea full of people? What are you doing to brand yourself? What are you doing to stand out? There's more and more people going to things online, with TikTok coming out, so strong last year. And then there's people who are thinking, okay, it could go away. So what are my backup plans? What else can I do? And so what's really unique about today's guest is he has an entire academy that focuses on what platforms to use and how going live on those platforms is really a way to stand out on everything else. So with that, let's bring in Ken Walls. Dang it.
Whoa.
I can never get that part right.
Come on,
There
dude.
you go.
What's your problem?
There.
No, you still don't have it right. Jeez,
Wow.
you've only been doing this for a year and a half.
I just
I
got
know,
motion
you always do the
sickness.
technical part.
Yeah, me too. I mean,
yeah.
Geez.
So
He's just so used to me running everything and him just sitting over there doing nothing.
I'm like the Vanna White. I do little stuff here and there. Or I guess I would be Pat Sajak. You would be Vanna White because you're handling the turning of the letters and the people. So
okay, like Vanna just stood there.
This just got weird. What kind of podcast is this?
Not a good one, obviously. But that's why you're here.
All right, so Ken, yeah. Damn. All right, before we went live, we were talking about a bunch of stuff in the green room, and one of the things, your background, Ken. Why don't you tell us your background again so everybody knows who you are?
My background's a lot of things, but technology and web development and video stuff for 30 years. I built a website for a realtor in Columbus, Ohio 20 years ago, and it was before YouTube even existed. And I told her, I said, I could take this little digital video camera I have and we could record a walkthrough on this property she was struggling to sell. And I can convert it into a flash video, which is no longer even in existence, and put it on your website. And she's like, really? And I go, yeah, I'll figure out how to do it. And so we did that, and she sold the house in 2 weeks, and she had been sitting on it for 6 months. So, I don't know if I was the first one to do that in Ohio, but I hadn't seen it anywhere else. And it was just a thought I had. YouTube wasn't even around. So, I've been doing this stuff for a long time. It's crazy.
Yeah. What do you do? So have you updated her website in a while?
No, it's the same exact website. I'm kidding. I don't even know what happened. It was a buddy's wife, and I think they got divorced, and I don't know, but
it happens.
There was a whole business there you could have created and sold to somebody.
Yeah. I could have. There's so many things I've seen in technology that I'm like, man, I just wasn't paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
That's why now with AI, I'm constantly studying AI and see where it's going. And
absolutely. Well, and what I like, when I first met you, you had kind of gone through your history of, you were doing sales and things, and I was in a job I was unhappy at, and you had shared the story about one day, that job was no more. And you were like, screw it. I will never work for anyone else ever again. And you rode me for a long time. You're like, when are you going to quit and make the decision? And as the listeners know, that decision was made for me. I got fired. But it was one of the best things. I wish I'd listened to you earlier of doing things on your own. It's got harder days, but the people you're around and what you get to do, I mean, your story from there is pretty incredible. You want to share a little bit more about it?
Yeah, I was the number one salesperson at this. I won't mention the company or the even type of company, but I was the top salesperson, which equated to 150 plus a year probably. And the sales manager was am I allowed to cuss on here?
Oh yes. Yeah, absolutely.
He was a dick.
It'll just put us in the prison, but that's okay.
Yeah. He was just this guy was, I don't know, he had this vibe. He was a loser, and he's driving around in a company car smoking pot and going to customers. And this was in Ohio, not California, so it was not acceptable.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, dude, you can't do that. What are you doing, man? And he's like, I'll mind your own business and blah, blah, blah. And I'm all right. So I said something to one of the owners of the company about it, and they called me in the next day and fired me. And the only job I've ever been fired from as an adult. And I'm like, okay, whatever. This is weird. And I remember driving home and thinking, oh, my ex-wife now, but she's gonna be really not happy about this. And so and I was, and you know what ended up happening was, you know, I just said, I'm not doing this. I'm not putting my life in the hands of anybody else ever again, and work so hard to make their dreams come true instead of my own. And that's when I finally said, I'm going all in on my own business. Doing website development is where it started, and it's turned into, I'm a book publisher now, and I've helped a lot of people publish books and get them to #1 best-selling author status and all of the other stuff with that. But yeah, that's where my company all started. Was I got fired.
Yeah,
that's usually how it happens.
Yeah,
we hope.
Yeah, right.
Brian,
I mean, Brian, you can't. What's hard though, I think, for like Brian, in your case, it's like, well, I got this guarantee of X amount of dollars coming in every couple of weeks, and I've got these benefits, and I've got all these things, and you're telling me to walk away from all that, and no, I'm not. I don't tell anybody to do that. I just think that, you know, there's a day that we all have. A really good friend of me and Joe Ingram, Robbie Cornelius, just passed away. He at 40 years old, you know, and he preached, live life to the fullest every day, and own your own, you know, your own power. And he was the epitome of that. But, you know, he had literally just said, you know, we're all going to die someday. It just said that in a video he put out a couple weeks before, and you know,
look at where he is. Well,
It's
so
got,
ironically, next week we can't be on because Ed's got something and I've got an event also. And so we're going to show the 2 episodes that we had Robbie on, so people can get an idea of who Robbie was. He's amazing. You know, follow his information. So that's actually what we're going to do next week, is we're going to have the 2 times that we had him on, because it was such a wealth of information.
Yeah.
And, you know, because you were on his tribute with everyone the other week. Yeah. He impacted so many lives while he was here. And a guy that started out as, you know, gangster rap, but he was unhappy, and no different than, you know, you're talking about the corporate jobs. And it's those things that you make the decision to move one way, or you stay unhappy, but quote unquote comfortable.
You know, the craziest part of it all is, you know, I'll be, today's actually my wife's birthday. But and in a month I'll be turning 56 years old. And I go, you know, Steve Jobs said that, you know, you can only connect the dots by looking backward. And if you look back over your life and you go, you know, well, geez, when I was this age, I was doing this, and then this fell through, and that fell through, and then boom, that happened, and it catapulted me. And then, you know, I mean, it's this up and down kind of thing. But for me in my life, it's always been like, when it's at the lowest, that I've felt like, okay, it's not going to get any worse than this. And suddenly I'll skyrocket into something really amazing. And I think that if most people will look back over their life, you'll see that there's a pattern that you're growing, and they're growing pains.
100%. For people who don't know you, because obviously this is the first time you're on, you have an academy, you have the Grow Live Academy. What does that teach people?
So do you know who Jeffrey Gitomer is?
Yes. The Little Red Book of Sales. Yeah.
So Jeffrey's a good friend of mine. Him and I wrote a book together called Go Live, actually. after I trained him how to go live, and he calls me, he's like, hey, my publisher wants me to write a book about going live, and they want to call it Go Live. And I'm like, okay, that's weird that my academy is called Grow Live. But anyway, it's, hey, it's not every day that a 4-time New York Times bestselling author calls you up and says, I want to write a book with you. So it was a great experience for me. But his wife, Jeffrey put out a book called Get Shit Done. And I had just gotten a haircut. I'm driving home and I call him. I said, hey, I see that you just got this book out today, and why don't we do a live stream tonight and promote it? And he said, great, send me a link. And I said, by the way, Grant Cardone gets on a lot of my lives and comments. Maybe if he does, we'll shoot him a link and get him on there with us. And holy shit, he did. Grant gets on the live stream, and I'm like, he just types in, love you guys. And I'm like, oh my God, Grant, get on here with us, man. So I sent him a link, and he gets on with us. And I had me and Jeffrey Gitomer and Grant Cardone on this live stream. It's on my YouTube channel. And I'm like, this is unbelievable. And so after that, Jeffrey's wife calls me and she's like, dude, that was crazy. Nobody does what you're doing. That's nuts. You need to teach people how to do this. Like, blah, blah, blah. And I go, yeah, I've thought about it. So it was good. Grow Live Academy was born in that moment. And she convinced me to put out a course, and it started on Kajabi, and then I moved everything to Go High Level. But, I went to, like, that day, it was a Friday, I think she called me, and by Sunday I was selling courses, and it was going to be 36 video course. That's it. 6 videos for 6 weeks. That's it. Now it's turned into 150 videos maybe in the Grow Live Academy. I've had a lot of celebrity friends. Glenn Morshower, very famous actor that a lot of people know. He's in there almost we do a live mastermind call every 2 weeks, and Glenn is part of it quite often. Not every time, but he's in there 80% of the time, I'd say. But I've had Zig Ziglar's son, Tom, come in. I've had Kyle Wilson come in and teach and speak. I've had Jim Keys, the former CEO of 7-Eleven and Blockbuster, come in and teach. And so many people have come in. I mean, literally, I don't know how many, 100 probably have come in and taught. And then we have open Q&A mastermind calls, and I do technology training, different apps that you could be using for social media advancement and reels and all that stuff. It's a phenomenal, honestly, it blows me away that it turned into what it's turned into. I can't, I really can't. Like Jeffrey Gitomer, there's a video of Gitomer going, I don't know why so many people, aren't in Grow Live Academy. Everybody needs to be there every single week, and blah, 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 blah. And I took that and I clipped it. He said it on one of his lives, and I clipped it, and I'm like, dude, that's crazy. I'm using that as a promo piece. So, but absolutely. Yeah. It's phenomenal. Yeah.
So you said a lot of names, and some people may or may not know. Obviously, Tom Ziegler, Zig Ziglar's son, Kyle Wilson. For people who don't know, he was the guy who worked with Jim Rohn and ran Jim Rohn International. He lives here in Dallas also. Really good guy that has a lot of history with a lot of famous speakers. You mentioned before, Jeffrey Gitomer wrote the Little Red Book of Sales. He's got a lot of stuff that's out there, and almost everybody knows Grant Cardone, but you have a funny story of how you got to meet Grant. Do you want to share that?
Yeah. So Grant's the only reason I switched from Android to iPhone, by the way. I was one of those, I'm going to die on this
green
sword
daughter
Android guys. And then I bought his sales training at $1,000 a month, and invested $36,000 in that program. And it was terrifying. I remember that. I mean, they closed the shit out of me. Todd Straw and Steve Spray, and there was only 7 salespeople working for him back then. And
wow.
And so so they closed me on this deal. And then I'm like, I was doing a lot of SEO back when SEO was a thing. And so they closed me on this. And I'm like looking up sales training on Google. I'm like, holy shit, Grant's nowhere to be found. So I call up Todd and I said, hey man, transfer me to Grant. And he goes, yeah, I'm not doing that. And I said, why? And he goes, because I'll get fired. I can't what do you want? And I go, look, man, Grant needs help with SEO. I can help him and blah, blah. He wouldn't do it. He's like, you're going to have to figure out a different way. So I said, dude, I spent $1,000 a month with you guys. He goes, bro, no offense, but Grant could like drop $1,000 on the ground and not even care to stop and pick it up. Like, I go, how's that not supposed to be offensive? That's kind of offensive, man. And so anyway, I had a client that we did a website for that she made custom wine and wine labels. And I had my designer create a 10X label with Grant and Elena and his 2 daughters on there. And it said the world's favorite 10X family. And we made these beautiful bottles of wine private labeled for Grant's family. And I get these bottles in. I'm like, well, I'm going to ship them in this styrofoam and, you know, it'll be okay. And then I thought, oh man, what if they break en route or they get on Grant's white shirt? That's not how I want to get on his radar. And my assistant she goes, I didn't have the time to fly him to Miami. She goes, I'll fly him down. And I said, really? And she's like, yeah. So I put her on a plane. She flies down there. Next day, it's a Friday morning. She's waiting in the lobby. It's when they were over on 6th Street and on the 6th floor of this bank building. And she's waiting in the lobby. Grant doesn't show up. And I had just spent literally like almost every penny I had getting her there, paying for a hotel. Like I'm one of those guys. Like I'll just put it all on black. I don't care. Let's just go. And so she's like calling me and in tears. Ken, they're not here. I'm calling Todd, going, dude, where's Grant? And he goes, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you. Sometimes they take Friday off. I'm like, that would have been important information to share with me before I spent $2,000, you a-hole. But anyway, so Grant ends up showing up. If you go to my company website, clientsi.com, you'll see the post that where Grant posted. You can click on the picture. It'll take you to the original post where Grant posted, wow, class act Ken Walls flew his assistant down and all this stuff. And you know, he called me that day and I'll never forget it. Cause I stayed home just so I wouldn't miss the call. Cause there was a little dead zone between there and my office. And I said, finally I was like, screw it. He's not coming in. I'm going to work. So I just drive and my phone rings and Grant's on the line. He goes, this Ken Walls? And I go, it is. And he goes, dude, this is the classiest thing anybody's ever done for me. And I'm like, what? Come on, man. You're Grant Cardone. Somebody's done something better than that. But anyway, so he says at the end of the call, if there's ever anything I can do for you and your family, please let me know. And I this is where most people would have said, oh yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I didn't. I said, actually, there is. And he goes, what's that? And I go, well, I do SEO on websites and I was Googling sales training and you're nowhere to be found. And Dale Carnegie is ranked #1 in Google and he's dead. And he goes, yeah, that shit pisses me off. Can you fix that? And I go, we give it a shot, man. We need to meet and talk about it. He goes, let's do it. Reach out to Jared and Sherry and let's set up a meeting. So I ran that part of Grant's website for a couple of years and I ran ads. I had a show on the Grant Cardone TV network and it was pretty amazing. And we've become friends. He reached out, or well, I shouldn't say he did, but somebody reached out to me and I interviewed him the day after he finished Undercover Billionaire. I'm the only person that interviewed him that in that period of time. And so, yeah, it's crazy, man. And all it took was me going back in 2014, 15, I'm going to start live streaming like a crazy person, which I did. I mean, like I've done over 4,000 live streams now. My first year, I did over 800 live streams on Periscope and Meerkat, which is nuts. So yeah.
So that's a good point. People are afraid to go live because they like being able to rehearse. We were talking before we went live today of some people like, oh, it's got to be perfect. And let me get rid of the ums and the dead space and all these things. How do you help people just get out of their head and just click go? You know,
I look, I don't know that I have an answer for that. I just go, look, you've done scarier things in life. Come on, think about it. I mean, you know, I used to, I'll just say in my late teens, I was a hellion, and I may or may not have had somebody shoot towards my direction at one point. But
okay.
I mean, I've been through my point is most of us have been through scarier things than but here, you know, public speaking is something that people fear. It is. And what's worse than, because I remember, I mean, I've been on stages for a long time, but I remember after I'd done a lot of live streams, I was asked to come to Vegas and speak to this network marketing company at their annual convention. And there were, I don't know, 600, 700 people in the audience. And I remember staying on stage nervous because it's the first time I had spoken a very, very long time on a stage. I was nervous, but I thought, this is easier than a live stream. I can see what the audience reaction is. I can see what they're doing. I can tell whether or not they get up and leave and who left. On a live stream, you can't see that. You can't tell who's like leaving and what their reactions are. That, you know, you can't see you can see what they type, but you can't see their facial reactions, and you can't see their energy and their laughter, or they're not laughing, or an audience gives you immediate feedback. A real live audience does. So to overcome the fear, you just have to do it. And here's the other thing. I was invited to be a judge at a video, this video thing that Tamara Thompson does out and it was in San Diego. And I was a judge there back in 2018, I believe. And I remember, and Randy Zuckerberg, Mark's sister, was the keynote, and she gets up on stage, and she's the one that invented Facebook Live for Facebook. She's the one that created it, and so she gets up and she's talking about her very first time anybody ever has live streamed on Facebook was her. And the engineer said, "Okay, it's ready, Randy. You can, you know, your account is set. You can go in and hit go live." And she's like, I was like, okay, everybody on Facebook is going to watch me live. I'm really ready for this. And she goes, I found an empty closet at Facebook, and I go in, I lock myself in this little empty closet. I take out my phone and I type in a really cool thing like, Facebook, we're live on Facebook for the first time ever. And she goes, and I was like, I knew thousands and thousands of people were going to show up, and I hit go live, and I'm on there, and 2 people showed up, my mom and my dad. And she goes, I was like, this is a failure. Nobody's ever going to use this. Oh my God. And so, you know, if somebody like Randy Zuckerberg, and she's got an amazing personality, by the way, but I mean, anybody can do it. We've all seen people on lives that you're like, why are you live? And the only reason and they're making millions of dollars, by the way, because they just are dumb enough to not give a shit. And that's what people need to do is if you get past the thinking, just stop thinking about it and pull the freaking trigger. Go live, man. Like, you got to go live.
Yep.
So you go live on you go live on Facebook. You're an Amazon influencer. What else do you go live on?
I go live on Facebook, X, LinkedIn, YouTube, multiple YouTube channels. Normally when I'm live on Facebook, it's on 4 or 5 different pages. I go live everywhere. I'm getting ready to. What's that?
You do Instagram?
I do now. Yep, I do Instagram Live. I do. I'm getting ready to connect Rumble. The founders of StreamYard, Gage and Dan, are Gage is a friend of mine. He's been on my podcast actually. And I said, dude, I need more than 8 locations to live stream to, and he gave me 10. And so now he's no longer with the company. They sold it and he's gone. So but I'm like, one of these days I'm gonna wake up and the new owners are gonna be like, why does this dickhead have 10 locations and take 2 of them away or something? But anyway, I love being able to, because the way I see it, and everybody should see this, I don't give a shit who you are. I don't care what you do. If you're not live streaming, this was a download, I'll say, that God gave me. I was on stage. I was preparing a presentation to be on stage and to speak at this conference. And I was like, it just hit me like, oh my God, wait a minute. What if, let's say, Brian, I worked for ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox, and they all hired me and said, we want you to go talk to Brian Galke and sell him on this idea. And here's the idea. All the networks want you to run a commercial for whatever it is you're selling 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, only in the DFW market, which is 8 million-ish, 7.5 million, whatever it is.
For everybody not in Texas or Dallas, that would be
what?
I said, for everybody else out there who's not in Texas or Dallas, what would that be?
Dallas Fort Worth market, the Dallas Fort Worth market. If you don't know what DFW is, come on, man. But anyway, so
that's the only abbreviation that for DFW out there.
Yeah, right.
It's the only one that matters.
It's right. But if I worked for all these networks and I said, hey, you can advertise anytime you want, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year on all of the networks. And the only caveats are that you have to do it live. So it has to be a live stream. And the second one is you can't pay us a dime. It's 100% free. Would you say no to that?
Not at all.
No.
Right. Yet Facebook, just Facebook by itself, is 1,000 times bigger than all of those local networks combined in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And people ignore it. They don't do it. And here's the crazy part is the algorithms actually favor live streams over any other type of post you're going to do. People are like, well, I edit my videos and I get them all perfect and then I upload them. I'm like, why? That's stupid. Number one, authenticity. People, and we talked about this before. Ed was talking about it before we came on here, but people are sick and tired of the bullshit. I was just watching a YouTube video earlier today of a guy. I'm not going to mention his name, but he fancies himself a sales trainer. And he's very, very well known. And it's all this. Anyway, I don't want to insult industries or anything, but I was like, what the people are buying, and he's a mega millionaire. People are buying the shit out of his product. And I'm like, why? Like, that's so inauthentic what you're teaching. And so I teach, I guess I'm a sales trainer too. Let me just throw my hat in the ring. I'm kidding, but like just be real, man. Be real and talk to people and develop a relationship with people. And you don't have to, memorize these scripted BS lines on how to close a deal or get people to stop thinking about it and take action. And anyway, I just think that if you stay real, stay authentic, and do it a lot. I have one more. Do I have time to give you another example?
Well, before you get to that, I have a question I want to ask.
Okay, go ahead.
YouTube Live. If you only do YouTube Live, it says you would never uploaded a video. Did you know that?
If what now?
If you only use YouTube for lives, right? Because a lot of people used it for lives and they didn't move it. it will say you haven't uploaded a video in a year if that's all you do.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So have you noticed that? Because for me, that's all I did for a long time. I just uploaded other stuff, but I went live to YouTube all the time, and I found that it didn't give the algorithm wasn't working for YouTube lives like it was on all the other platforms.
Yeah, you're right about that. I believe. I honestly, I don't pay enough attention to my YouTube stuff, so I'd say you're probably right. So here's the other thing: is don't just rely on lives. I mean,
right?
It's a huge.
You just said, why do you edit your videos and all this stuff? Just go live. You just said that, like.
Well, I know, but like right now, I mean, we're recording this, right?
It's going out live.
Yes. Right. But it's also recorded.
Yes. So you can do
take
both.
This video and you can download it and you can upload it to YouTube. So again, I'm not saying like don't ever upload other video content. I'm saying go live a lot.
Right.
Like there's
and Ken, I got that part of it, but what I was just saying is the only place that doesn't promote it as much as the other places is YouTube. They want shorts and videos. They're not big on lives. They need to change that.
Yeah, I agree. However, if I opened up YouTube right now, it would show me live streams in my feed. It'll show me live streams.
Yeah.
So, again, just like anybody, if there's somebody you're following that's live, more than likely it's going to pop up in the feed. I do hear you and I agree. And that's the other thing is you need to be doing a lot of shorts. You need to be, there's a tool that I've used now since it existed called video.ai, VIDYO.ai. It's $20 a month. And you take your YouTube long videos. You can use Opus clips. You can use whatever, but
that's what we use.
Yeah. Well, video.ai is cheaper. So
is it better or
well,
just
maybe
cheaper?
not. It's probably better in some ways. And they're both missing a couple of things, but anyway, there's this Mexican grandma. She's in Mexico that literally, and I don't want to say she's a nobody because I don't believe anybody's a nobody, but except for maybe Brian. I'm kidding.
How about she's not a celebrity?
I thought we only make fun of Joe.
No, I meant Joe. Did I say Brian? No. So, but this woman is like, she was not a celebrity. She's just a Mexican grandmother that loves to cook. And she uses this old wood, like they put wood in the stove. It's one of those big round stone oven cooktop things. And her granddaughter or grandson, one of says, "Oh my gosh, we need to record you cooking." And they did it in Spanish. I can't understand a damn thing she's saying, but she's on. If you go to YouTube and you type in Mexican grandma that cooks, you'll see like she's got 4 or 5. Last time I looked, she had like 4 or 5 million subscribers.
Wow.
And I know some huge YouTubers that the D&B, Damien and Bianca, D&B Nation, they're friends of mine and they live in Houston now, but they have like 17 million subs on all of their accounts combined. When I met them, they only had 1.7 million subs. And I said only, but they had 1.7 million subs and they were making about $100,000 a month in YouTube ad revenue. So, and doing stupid prank videos, like literally like use condom prank and just weird things. And their followers are, and they know that they're going to have haters and the people talking smack about them and they don't care. I don't care. I have somebody that unfriended me. I noticed it the other day, and I won't go into why I noticed it, but they unfriended me and they sent me a friend request today. I'm like, why? What the hell? Why you unfriended me? Why do you want to be friends again? Like,
you need to be in timeout, sir. Timeout, Ken.
I know. I'm like, but so I think that it really comes down to what Grant teaches. It comes down to what all these people teach is be consistent, be authentic, be real. Don't try to be somebody else. We're all made in our own unique ways. I mean, just go out and be real and authentic. And that's what I teach in the Grow Live Academy.
So a question for you. We mentioned earlier StreamYard, you have 10 ones set up. Most people get 8.
Yeah.
There is a belief when you're posting that you need to go into the native app to do individual posts, reels, shorts, whatever it is. Do you feel like that same level applies, that if you do a live directly through the app versus pushing it through a third party, do you think that matters at all?
I did a live the other night from the local high school parking lot showing the sunset, and I did it from my phone, from the app. First time I've done that in probably a couple years, and I had nobody watching. When I go live from StreamYard, I get a bunch of people watching. So especially that time of night. Yeah. So I honestly, I don't know the answer to that. My experience has been, when I go live on StreamYard, I go live on multiple Facebook pages because it simulcasts, and we're on it right now. It simulcasts it, and then I'm also connected to 2 YouTube channels, to my LinkedIn channel, to my Twitter or X channel, to Instagram, and I'm getting ready to connect to Rumble. And so the way I see it is, why would I pass up all of those other opportunities just to use the native app? It doesn't make sense to me. So I never do it. I never do it. So, and I John Schneider, Bo Duke from Dukes of Hazzard is a friend of mine.
Is there anybody who's not a friend of yours?
Yeah.
Well,
Joe.
I was going to say,
and they all are, it sounds like they're all from like Texas too,
No, John lives in and I met John through Glenn Morshower.
Glenn is only a recent Texan. He's only been here, 18 months, something like that. 12 months?
Almost coming up on 2 years, man. It's crazy.
I got you.
Yeah. But and we've seen each other once. That's insane. No, twice. Debbie's birthday.
That's right.
Yeah. But I showed John how to use StreamYard, and he started doing live streams with StreamYard, and I was on his very first one with him. It was crazy, man, because he's got millions of followers. It's nuts. But anyway, I mean, and yeah, I don't know what else to say about it, but you got to go where everybody is.
There was a guy who was in a different mastermind yesterday, and a guy is selling cars by doing lives on TikTok. He said he just gets on there. He's at the dealership. He doesn't have any customers anyway. So he just gets a live on TikTok. And he said the first 3 days he made a sale off 3 videos. So he just went live each day. And he says as he started answering questions, his Rolodex, or his clients have signed up for when they're ready for a car. He says it's all coming off just going live on TikTok. And so
I'm going to say something, but I need you to mute Ed first because I don't want to hear it. The number one car salesman in the world is a guy named Frank Cronetti. It bounces between him and another guy named Ali Rita. And Frank is a really good friend of mine. And I buy all my cars from Frank. He's in Philadelphia. And Frank has had me come into his mastermind of all car salespeople and teach and speak. And I've said, look, if I were in car sales, I don't care what sales I'm in, but if I were in car sales, every single day, I'd get up, go to work, dress for success, and I'd take my phone out and I'd get on StreamYard and I would simulcast me walking the lot and showing everybody all the different cars that we have available and all the deals we have available, and talk about the low percentage financing deals we have available, all of the stuff that people want to hear that will trigger them to go, yeah, you know what? I'm kind of sick of the car I have. Let me run down there and see him. Anybody that's not doing that and you're in car sales, if you're struggling, it's your fault. It's your fault. The tools are here.
So what you're telling me, what I'm hearing is, so us in the mortgage industry need to start saying the low rates that we have today.
Well, no, because that would be a lie. So like, but I do know
low
that there
compared to the
are
1980s and the 1990s.
Yeah, right. Hey, folks, listen. It's Ken Walls. I'm with ABC Mortgage, and I have really good news for you. We have some of the lowest rates you're ever going to see when you compare it to 1979, because at least you're not paying 18% interest. So no, I mean, you want to obviously be real and authentic and honest, but I mean, there's things that separate you from other people in the industry, I would imagine. I would say you do a live stream talking about, what that difference is. What's the difference? And the other thing is this. I say this to realtors. I work with realtors. I say, look, I know things are tough right now. The economy that has been intentionally destroyed, we won't go there. But the economy sucks right now. But here's the thing, people are still buying houses.
35%.
People are they're not as many, but they are buying houses and they are getting mortgages. So top of mind, Ted Turner, who I don't care for, but I love this saying. He said, he had a saying back when he started CNN. He said, early to bed, early to rise, work like a dog, and advertise. And anybody that's trying to bootstrap or guerrilla market their company, you need to be using live streaming. You're carrying a freaking television station in your pocket. Like it's there all the time. And people get notified when you go live. Ed, did you send me a friend request yet, Ed, on Facebook?
No.
Wow. That hurts a little.
He wanted to wait till see how the rest of the interview
I'm
went.
focused on the video. I'm not trying to do other things. People are popping up and I'm trying to get rid of them. I'm not trying to, I'm supposed to be present with this podcast, even though Brian's been talking the whole freaking time and asking all the questions.
Hey, listen, man. I think that
and I'm like offended because I'm not a friend of yours yet, so I'm gonna get that taken care of.
This is why he's Vanna. He just needs to be quiet and flip the letters.
I'll flip you something.
I mean, look, man. I think again, there's no reason in the world. I don't care if you're a plumber. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You've got to stay top of mind, and unless you want to spend thousands and thousands of dollars a month on advertising, I don't name a better way. Name a better way to get attention for free. When Grant told me you need to get focused on one thing and really go all in on it and create a celebrity brand, I didn't know what he meant. But then fast forward to 2018 at the first or 17, whenever the first 10X conference was, 10X Growth Con. I'm walking down the hallway, coming out from the backstage area, walking down the hallway, and this girl, and I had done, by that time I had done at least 2,000 or 3,000 live streams, I think. And this girl comes walking towards me, and she's holding her purse and her book, and she looks at me and she goes, "You're Ken Walls," like stunned. And I'm like, I'm looking around like, yeah, why? And I'm not the father. And she starts crying and she says, "You've changed my life." And I go, "Who are you?" And she tells me, and she's like, "And my Twitter handle is this, and I follow you on Periscope." And I'm like, "Oh, I recall your name now." And she goes, "Everything that you teach, I love what you teach. It's changed my life and my mindset. You're the reason I bought a ticket to be here at this conference." I go, "Oh my gosh," she's literally got tears coming down her face. And she goes, "Would you give me your autograph and sign?" And I'm like, "In Grant Cardone's book?" "Yeah, here, I'll do." So it was just crazy. Like it was at that moment that I was like, "Oh my God, this is what Grant was talking about. This is exactly what he was talking about," because we're doing something here that 99% of the population won't do. And in the Grow Live Academy, I teach this. I teach, do a podcast. If you're not doing a podcast, you're really missing out on it. Like I've interviewed 560 celebrities and entrepreneurs. Brian's been on the show. Like I've interviewed so many people.
You don't have any standards then?
None at all.
Well, I had to really drop them that day, but no.
Yeah.
No, I've had so many people on that, and many of those people have become really good friends of mine now. And that's why when you say, is there anybody that hasn't, I mean, the number one best-selling author on planet Earth is Mark Victor Hansen with Chicken Soup for the Soul. He's sold over 600 million books. And there's a chapter in his biography, his life story, an entire chapter about me. Why? The reason is because he was on my show. I helped him promote the hell out of his book for the next several months. And we're really, really good friends now. So it's crazy, man. Like, get out of obscurity. Stop hiding.
Yeah, exactly. Stop being the secret.
Right.
Not a secret anymore.
That's right. That's right.
All right. Well, we do have to wrap up for the end of the show, but we'll have you back on again. One thing in wrapping up, it is funny. Do you know Pat Hilton?
I know the Pat.
Guy? Yeah, because he lives in Texas also. But he has a similar story, of him getting in the car, driving to Vegas with his pregnant wife. It was a go for it or fail. And Grant gave him that same opportunity, to play music and look at where he's at. So when you were telling your story of getting in to meet Grant, look, the guy catches a lot of hell for who he is. But I always hear these stories like this that not everybody gets to hear. So that's nice. But Ken, here's Ken's website, kenwalls.com. He also has the other one, if you want to see the Grant testimony right here, clients.si, that you can go and check out. And what's the best way for people to follow you besides those two websites?
If you go to kenwalls.com, you can go sign up for Grow Live Academy and join us next Thursday on our next mastermind call. But if you go to kenwalls.com, it'll take you to all of my social media. Everything is there. I'm very active and I engage. Unless you're an asshole, I don't engage. So I
guess I won't come on.
That's right.
What'd you say?
I guess I won't sign up and come on.
That's funny. No, man, I like to have fun. But I do, everything I talked about is just logic.
Yeah.
Just
awesome.
Logic.
Well, thank you for being this week's Joker. Like I said, we'll have you back on, talk a little bit more about some of the other stuff that you teach and, all the different places you go live. So thank you for joining us today. Ken, Ed, any parting thoughts, wisdom?
Oh, you've been talking the whole time. Take us out.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you once again for joining us on Aces 53 with Ed Parcaut and myself. Ken, thank you for joining us today. Remember, we're live on Tuesdays with just Ed and I, usually arguing back and forth. And on Thursdays, we have our special guest, aka the Joker, which somebody that can teach us something that we can utilize in our business. So best way you can support us is subscribe, follow us, and refer us to your friends. So thank you, everybody, for coming today.
All right. Make it a great day. Thanks for being here, Ken. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys.